So if you all could pick one vehicle to have as your own, from it could be a movie, it could be a comic book, whatever, what would it be? And it's not restricted to cars or whatever. Like it could be any type of vehicle. What would it be?
That changes the game. You say not, it doesn't have to be a car.
Yeah.
Definitely would pick a car first.
Since y'all thinking about it, I'll go first. I want a Tron bike.
Oh, from Tron, the Tron movie.
Yeah, from Tron. Like I remember Tron Legacy came out. I think it was almost a decade ago. And I remember looking at the bike. That bike is nice.
Yeah,
that's there.
I like it. I like it, bro. Like just the design of it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how it would be to actually drive if you're not going in a straight line.
Yeah.
But like just looking at it, yeah.
For me, then I just thought two are really close. But if I gotta choose one for practicality, it would definitely be the Batmobile. You can get around anywhere with that. Even somebody hits you in a car accident, you're good. You know.
So my follow-up would be which Batmobile?
Yeah, it'll be the one I think the one from the one with Christian Bale. I think with Bane was the bad guy.
The Tumbler?
I forget. I don't know the name specifically for it, but I think in that one, it had shut down too. And then he no, sorry, that's the one with the Joker.
Yeah.
Where Heath Ledger was the Joker. Yeah, that's the one where Heath Ledger was the Joker, and then I think it shut down or broke or something, and then it started making a noise, and it turned into like a motorcycle, and he shot out of the thing. That would be the one for me, man. That's like that's a 2-for-1 kind of deal there, but
No, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's my turn. For me, I would have to go with Rick's interdimensional time traveling car from Rick and Morty. I will have to go with that. I gotta see what else out here. I gotta hit through them interdimensional channels and go find out where the aliens at. Because it would have to be that one. Yeah, it'll have to be that one.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I didn't know what Rick and Morty was, and then my son plays Fortnite, and it was a skin on this season for the Battle Pass in Fortnite, a Rick and Morty skin. That's how I knew what it was. I'm like, what is this scientist skin? Like, why do people want this thing? And then everyone's like, oh, it's so popular. It's like Rick and Morty. So yeah, that's how I didn't even know what it was until like a few weeks ago.
Fortnite got all the skins, man. They got
everything. They got LeBron in there now too.
Yeah, man. They got LeBron a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Wait, y'all heard they finna do the Naruto skins after the Olympics did they whole anime thing? So they gonna go with the Naruto skin?
No, I didn't hear that. No.
Bro.
Keep an eye out for that.
Fortnite got so much stuff. They got like an Ariana Grande concert coming up this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend or something. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, my son was showing me.
That's wild.
It makes sense.
It don't make no sense.
Nah,
it don't.
Cool.
It's wild. It's wild. But Cam, you good, sir. What would be your vehicle?
Man, I'm torn. So I'm gonna break the rule and go ahead with two, but different reasons, right? Like I want the DeLorean. Most overall, like I want the DeLorean. Like, that just seems like fire, right? But a part of me just wants that Mach 5 from Speed Racer 2, because that joint is pimping. Like you can't tell me like if you ain't riding down the street in a Mach 5, but that look crazy. Like So that's why I'm torn between that. If I had to like choose between the two of them, I guess I'd go with the DeLorean, but I felt like the honorable mention needed to be stated that Mach 5 from Speed Racer is cold, icy kind of car, like for real.
You said Speed Racer, bro. I haven't heard Speed Racer in so long.
I know.
Oh my god,
that whip is cold.
It is.
It's a regular car though.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But that thing is cold though. Like anybody out here driving cars that look like that.
Take the DeLorean.
Yeah.
I said that's what I said. I
knew
said
somebody
DeLorean.
was gonna say DeLorean. I knew it was coming. I was
Yeah,
surprised
I
it
mean,
wasn't.
the DeLorean. That thing's tight. I'm just saying that there's something. The Mach 5 is like a dope. If you were doing cars only, like no extra stuff like that, I go with the Mach 5.
I'm not gonna hold you. I thought about the DeLorean at first. I did, but I feel like that was a cop out. You know, I feel like that was
so you call me corny?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. Because you said two, right? You said two. You said speed
Right.
racer and that. So it's not a cop out. Because you was like, yeah, it could be this, but this. So it's cool.
Stop being weird. I'm not.
I'm not.
Oh man.
Hey, okay, real quick. All right. No extra knickknacks, no extra toys, kits, none of that. Give me the car that you would like to get. Which one? We know it's the Mach 5.
If I could fit in it, a Bugatti. I seen a nice Bugatti one time, bro. Like not even in the video, just like I think it was like in a magazine or something. And it looked so beautiful. And I was just like, I could never drive you because I won't be able to fit inside of the Bugatti. I'm too tall for it. So
yeah.
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah. For me, I like the Land Rover SUVs. Those are solid. I mean, it's not like super up there like a Bugatti or something like that, but it's like a nice looking vehicle. It's solid, especially like, I mean, Ottawa, Chicago kind of winters kind of thing, get you through that snow.
When you said that, it made me think of another one that would have been my backup after the Bugatti, and that would have been a Hummer. Remember when Hummers were all the rage back in the day?
Yeah.
And then everybody was saying how much they guzzle gas, and I had no idea what that meant. All I know is like, yo, I want to ride on one, I want to drive one. Now that I'm an adult, no, that would not no. No.
Like, bruh, believe me, yeah. You going for the year for gas? Oh, you gonna spend some money. You gonna on a Hummer? Yeah, you gonna for the your annual gas budget. Yeah, off the meters.
I got to ride a Hummer one time. And it just was like this surreal experience where like everybody on the road just gives you respect because as soon as you put your blinkers on, nobody want no smoke. I mean, I'm from LA, right? So LA drivers be kind of wild, but like they don't want no smoke with you. They see that blinker come on, they pull up, they let you get into the lane, bro, because they ain't not trying to get in your way. It's so funny.
It's probably a good feeling, man.
You make you feel like a king. You're just like, yep, like it's like we run the road, bro, because ain't nobody trying to mess with us.
I got okay. So mine's would be I got two. So my first one would be okay, so you know what a Volkswagen Beetle is, right?
Yeah.
So like the Kirby one, but with like the white walls and like the steel cap rims. That's just nice to me. That's just nice. I have to get me one of them. But outside of that, then I would have to get this car that's used in a lot of races on YouTube called the Hoonigan. I would want that. I would want that. The Hoonigan, bruh, this man burnt a McLaren. Like it's like a built car. It's like he built it through the engine in it, through all the pieces in it. But he literally beat, and what's that game, that racing game? Forza, what is it?
Forza Motorsport.
Right, okay, so you remember like on one year they had like this black McLaren, I think it was a McLaren, it was like $1 million car. Bruh, this Hoonigan beat that car in a drag race. It took bruh, like
I'm looking at it right now. It looked nice.
Look,
I'm gonna Google this after for sure.
And then when he like the guy when he hits the gears, like you can hear it come out. It's like ing, 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 and it sounds like a horn. But
Wow.
and he just takes clean off. Like I'm like, I gotta get that horn. That horn again? Yes, sir.
I'm gonna
Yes,
Google
sir.
that after for sure. Check it out.
All right, Cam, you want to round us out? What normal car would it be for you?
Lamborghini Urus.
Lambo.
Lamborghini Urus. That's a Lambo truck.
Wow, that's nice.
It's just like I don't know, calls to me. It's just so beautiful. But I looked it up one time and I was like, I didn't realize how useless those sports cars be really. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, I know they're a flex, but they're useless. Like they're useless, really. Like they can go fast, that's all they can do. Like that's about it.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a thing. I remember reading through that and being finally like, oh, okay, all right. So I don't need to. That's not something I fiend for no more. Like something like, oh, if I get big money, like no, I'd rather like pimp out like a good car and have that than like spend a buku money on like a really expensive car that's only gonna be relevant until the new one comes out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this the crazy part, bro. Like you can literally buy you an engine with way more horsepower and have a faster car than like a McLaren or a Bugatti or a Lamborghini. Like you can literally just go get you a car, build it, make sure you got like maybe 1100 as far as horsepower, like, and burn like Dodge Demons and Dodge Hellcats. Like you can go build you one, a car that's faster than that. Like,
and the thing you like realize that you're paying for like the luxury, you're paying for like the wood paneling, you're paying for like the genuine leather or whatever that, right? But I'm like, I don't know that I know the difference between the leather I get in the Nissan, the leather I get in the Lamborghini. I don't think I know the difference, to be honest. Leather is leather. Like I'm just like, it look nice. So you know what I mean? So
the difference is the money.
Like if I get
my bad. I was gonna say the difference is the money you spent on it. If you go get you a regular Buick 2003 and you scratch them leather seats, you're gonna be like, you scratch them $1,000 seats, them $1,000 leather seats. You're gonna be like, hey man, whoever just did that, you gotta get out of my car, you gotta walk. You gotta walk.
Man. I feel that. Well, welcome to another episode of Reset the Vibe. I am one of your hosts. I'm Vash. So now we're going
this Zoom though.
Y'all see how we act up in front of the company? It's cool though. Don't worry about it.
This is on Zoom. We don't know what to do. Okay, there's no way to signal, make subtle motions and whatnot like that. You know what I mean? I can't look you in your eye and you look me in my eye. Me see your soul, my soul. You know what I mean?
This so in person.
Cool. Okay. So the person that's talking right now, go ahead, bro. You got it. Introduce yourself. Go ahead. Now you don't want to do it. Y'all are terrible tonight. This one.
What's up, y'all? How's it going? This is the other half of the Reset the Vibe podcast.
Dang, and I'm the other portion. But I don't know if Gary said he's the other half, you the other half, but I'm the quarter. I don't know. I'm that mole on the side of your neck. I'm the mole on the side of the neck. my name is Cam.
It's 3 halves of a whole, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's not a thing. That's not how halves work.
Look it up.
Oh my God. Anyway, we have a special guest in the building today, or on Zoom building today. We have Shoraz with us today. He is the author of oh my God, I'm spazzing right now. See, y'all done got me messed up. I'm so sorry.
No
it is our fault. I'll take the blame.
My good sir, you know what? Since we are having these difficulties, why don't you go ahead and introduce us, sir? Nobody can do it like you anyway. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah. Name is Shoraz, author of Realm of Zerros Saga. I see why it could get confusing because, the first book is Omega Armageddon. Second book is Death of the Universe. Third book is The Dragon and the Phoenix. So the overall saga is Realm of Zerros, which is why sometimes people get confused on the name. So no issues there. It happened just because, there's the overarching name and each book has a name. Plus for books 4, 5, and 6, I have names for those as well. So there's definitely, a lot of names going on there. So no worries about forgetting. It's like everyone does it,
Oh, that's dope, bro. So before we get into the books, let's ask a boring question, but an important question. Why did you decide to be a writer? Like, what made you decide to write the trilogy? Go ahead.
So I never really planned on it. It was around like the 2016 type of time frame, maybe late 2015 kind of thing is when it started. Like in my head, I had a really negative experience to do with racism, and I didn't really I didn't realize it at the time, but it was really affecting me like in a very negative way, and I really didn't talk about it much. I'm a quiet type of guy, I don't really I'll talk sports, I'll talk fluff around certain things, but when it really comes to what affects me or if I'm feeling a certain way, I just kind of bury it and try to deal with it myself, so I never talked to much people about it, but it was really affecting me because I felt betrayed in a way due to that racism that occurred to me. And somehow, some way, I just this negative energy, like I took it and I somehow just started writing. I never wrote before in my life. Since the last time I wrote something was in at work, you write documents and stuff, but they're very procedural or whatever like that. But the last time I actually wrote for non-work was back in high school, which is over 20 years ago was the last time I wrote. So for somehow in me, it just started writing, and as I wrote, it was started off as a small story of a daughter, a father, and a son trying to make their way across America, as it was a broken state. The mother passed away, but she's still a large part of the book. And as I started writing, it became like from them getting from central sort of the states to get to the west coast, which is actually Las Vegas, because the entire west coast of America is destroyed in the book, obviously. It became more, and I started just expanding it. Then it became just from getting to the end of America. Then they had to go to the northern parts of Canada, because that's where the last stronghold of the human race was left. There were other races on Earth and stuff like that, but it was like not races as in individual races, but what humans created other types of humans, sort of do with like AI technology, because they wanted stuff to be done, but they didn't want the humans to do it because they wanted a lot of humans died in a war previous to that. So there's a whole backstory as well. And as they created these I call them beta sapiens, like we're called Homo sapiens. So these were beta sapiens, and beta I use specifically because beta is a test kind of a human. And as they created those beta sapiens became more advanced, and then they wanted to take over the humans, and they started killing them off. And so they have to get to that part of northern Canada, and from there it goes on beyond this world to the beings in the realm of Zerros that created us as who we are in our universe, and the universe dies, and it gets to book 3 and so on. But it really started with one, I won't say it wasn't like one negative event, it was like a whole episode of racist events towards me. It just wasn't one day of someone said something to me. It was just months, I would say, of this, and it just built up in me, and I started writing, and it turned into that. And I was telling just someone the other day on LinkedIn, she was saying that someone told her she couldn't do something, and she used their negative energy, and she created a business out of it. And then I was, you comment on things, and I'm like, yeah, I used the negative energy to write books 1, 2, and 3. And then, as I did that, books 4, 5, and 6 are in progress right now, but it all started from those types of events that occurred to me back then. Sorry if I went on too long on that.
No, you're fine, bro. You're fine.
No, and that's pretty interesting. I kind of wanted to ask you a question. I know it's kind of like asking a magician to reveal how a trick is, how they perform a trick. So if that's okay, like it's up to you to answer it.
Yeah, you go ahead, man. Yeah.
When it comes to the writing process for you, do you like how does that operate? What does that look like? Like, do you have to set an ambiance for yourself? Like a kind of like just an atmosphere And then from there, do you just write your stories as far as like ending first or beginning first, or do you like write the middle? Do you like come up with different ideas and segment it and just figure out how you're going to work it all into the story as in like one piece, or does it come over time? Like, what does that writing process look like?
Yeah, so from an ambience perspective, I really need to just sit and focus. Like it's not like I can say, oh, I have half an hour free, let me write. You can't, for me, I can't do that. I have to be ready. I can do that with, procedural documents and so on. As I said, for work, you can do that, set aside half an hour, do that. But when you're really thinking of a story and characters and stuff, I can't say, okay, half an hour, I'm going to do this, or 1 hour. You just got to say, this day, I'm ready to write. And you sit down for that day and you just write what comes to your head. And, you need to be alone, obviously. I have young kids, so, they're a bit older now, but they, give me my space when I need it. And that year when I started writing, it was one of the rainiest falls that we had. Sorry, was it a rainy spring we had? And that extended my writing time because it was so rainy. Some days you just couldn't go outside. So that was like, that almost helped me in a way because you had to stay indoors. So that helped me with that. And then the other part is an interesting question that you asked there is how do you kind of write? And for me, it's visual. Like when I wrote Realm of Zerros books 1, 2, and 3, I literally saw the scenes of the movie or the series, whichever one I hope it becomes. And I saw those characters. I saw the scenery. I saw how they interacted. I saw the airmobiles, which is a type of vehicle that I created. It's, just a car that flies essentially. That's the future. And it's funny that we spoke of, vehicles as the icebreaker for this. So I visualized everything. But the important part is I thought of the ending and I worked backwards. And once I realized like, okay, this is the ending, I want to get here. How do I get here? And then I did everything backwards to where I feel the beginning should be. And then I started writing from the beginning to get to the ending that I knew of. And there were some times where some chapters I wrote, like the book 1, each book has about 40 chapters, I think like 42, 42, and 41 or something like that. Books 1, 2, and 3. Some books I wrote chapter 41 before I wrote chapter 3, for instance, because I knew I was going to get here and my thought process or my creative juices made me write this. So I kind of write what's in my mind at the time. I don't necessarily write it sequentially. I write random chapters and then I piece them together how they best fit. Because in the story, there's, it's not just one story of, I mentioned the father, the daughter, and the son trekking across the Americas, but there's multiple stories, the people in Zerros, the robots that were created, the Beta Sapiens, there's all these different stories and the chapters are written where sequentially, and there's things happening here and here. So I move from chapter 1, this happens. And in chapter 2, you're going to think, oh, well, you're going to continue this chapter 1. I don't. I go to a whole other story. And because at some point, those stories intersect and you have to make it sequential. So when they intersect, you know the history of how they got there, not just, a set of random events. So it's interesting that you asked that because I kind of write backwards, or at least think the end. I go back to the beginning and then I write getting to the end again. I hope that answers your question.
No, for sure, for sure. It was just honestly, I can't even tell you where the question came from. It was just like, I wonder if anybody just writes backwards. Like,
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I feel that you need to get that end of, because the end is like really the most important thing, like of anything, right? Like I've seen movies, where the movie's good and you get to the ending and then what? Credits come on and you're like, what? That's the end, And for me, I'm like, I want an ending that people will remember forever. That's how I do it. And even as books 4, 5, and 6 are in progress now, and from book 3, I started writing book 4, and I got to almost the end of it, but something in my mind and my heart was like, I'm forcing it. I just want to write it to say I'm finished all 3, not all 3, but books 4, 5, and 6, the rest of it. And I was ready to do that, but I'm like, it doesn't make sense because I didn't know what the end would be. And an event happened in mid 2020 that really made me think. So this is like almost 4 years after. Think an event happened that made me think that, and somehow it came in my head like, this is the end of book 6. This is the perfect ending to what this story is, because it's not just about people and these races and everything, because the people in Zerros created Earth, but in the end, everything, and like literally everything, goes back to the one true creator of everything in existence, you know? And it's like not only action and this and that, it's deeply philosophical, because I'm a big believer in like God. So, for me, like that is like, when I write, when I talk, it's like, that's like always on my mind, like that belief of, what I believe, and not necessarily what I believe. I believe in a simple fact, there's one true creator of everything in existence. And that is like in me, it's ingrained in me. So even when I write, it just naturally comes out, because it's like just what's in me, and it just comes out naturally. And that's a theme throughout the whole book, I talk about different religions and so on like that, all in a positive way. There's no like real negativity or any negativity at all towards any, religion, because there's different people with different beliefs in the book. And also, but the main thing is, as I wrote, it was the belief in that one true creator that created everything, even the people of Zerros, or the beings of Zerros that created Earth, the universe. And within the book, there's also mention of, within the realm of Zerros, there's a place called the realm of creation. You access it from Zerros, and that's where they create universes and they spawn universes, right? So universes are created by them, but eventually everything, no matter if they create a universe, only the creator, the one true creator of everything in existence, is the one that gave them the power to do that. And that one true creator is the one that is above all. And that was something really important for me to write about, because it was just in me, and just something, that's, on my mind,
Yeah, like so, and then I wanted to ask this question. So then, therefore, like I like how you said you write the chapters. You don't necessarily write them, and I think the word you use is sequentially. So you don't write them in like basically like in any kind of chronological order, right?
No.
Is that the same for the saga? Like, did you like write book 6 and then write 2 and 3, and or did you write like 5 first and then wrote 1 and then wrote 2 and 3, or is that in a chronological order as well? Is that in a chronological order?
Some of the chapters I did. So I wrote chapters from book 3 as I was writing chapters for book 1.
Okay.
So yeah, but not the entirety of the whole book, but certain chapters for it I did write way before I wrote like book. So some parts of book 3 were written before book 2, just because that's where my mind was at the time. And I'm a person like, I write what's on my mind, I'm not going to try to force a story. And if I need to make up things to happen in between, I'll do that. But I rather write what's on my mind to really get what's out there, because I feel that's the most important thing. Really what I have to offer is my thoughts on, like philosophy and how I see things in life, because it's really deep when you really think about it,
For sure. I ain't gonna hijack the whole pod, but I just had to. I got more, but y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead.
I mean, bro, if it's working, it's rolling. Just go for it.
So I'm gonna just get some out, because like I got questions, because like, okay, so I'm just soaking this all in because I'm working on my first novel right now. So you talking about your writing process of how you're writing chapters, like at the end of the book, before you start writing the first page and whatnot, and like that got me to thinking, because when I'm writing my novel now, like I know the ending, right?
Yeah.
I didn't start writing the ending yet.
Yeah,
but
I know, but in your head, Yeah.
Yeah, like how you
exactly.
was talking about how like you sort of thing you saw like, yo, I could see this like being in the movie and this in the TV series, like I could vividly see it. Like
Yeah.
that's how I do it like with mine. And like I'm
Yeah.
looking at it, but I never thought to like write a chapter before, like, you know what I'm saying? Like writing
Yeah.
instead of like writing in chronological order, like you just writing it out of order and you just like pieces, you know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah,
never
exactly. Yeah,
like
pieces. Yeah.
I never thought about writing it that way because like right now like I'm halfway done with it before it gets to like once it's done it'll be going through the editing process, the first draft, second
Yeah.
draft,
Yeah.
like all of that. So I guess what I want to ask next is like how was that for you as far as like the editing process, like when you were writing it um before you even got to the first draft, right? You were writing a rough draft of it. Did you already have in mind of things that you wanted to correct on the first draft, like when you were done with it, or did you just stop right then and there and be like, no, I'm gonna correct this now so it don't be work later on when you
Yeah.
do the other drafts?
Yeah. So I kind of started like that, but then I was like, I got to a point where I felt I was correcting some things where when I felt creative. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do creative is my priority. Creative is the story. The creativity is the story. Editing can come afterwards, you know? So I started doing that. So I would do a chapter, maybe a few, and then edit. But then I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to write. And that's kind of where the different chapters come in. Write this, write this, write this as you think of it and you're creative. So I did it that way. And then I kept all the editing to the end. There's definitely pros and cons to it because like I like writing, but editing is like tedious, man. Like you could like there are some
I'm
days
not
on
looking
it's like
forward to it.
yeah, it's like it's like watching paint dry, you know? It's like you really have to really believe in what you're doing if you're gonna sit there and edit it yourself. Because you at that point you could critique yourself, you see your mistakes, and it's like watching paint dry. And if you keep it all to the end, it's like so much editing, you'll get like for me anyways, I got like bored of it, you know, but I knew I had to do it. If you do it piece by piece, it's a little bit, easier to take. But just remember to, if you feel creative, stop the editing, maybe do it piece by piece still, but stop the editing and write what's on your mind. At least get it out there so you have that foundation for, that chapter or that piece of the story, and then go back to your editing because like there's pros and cons with it, piece by piece or all for the end. But either way, it's a lot of work. But the all for the end, it's like just too much, I found. But that's the way I did a bit of half and half, like as I did it more, I just kept it all for the end. Again, my first time doing it, so it was like a learning experience for me. But yeah, that's my advice on that.
So you said that your books, or at least one of your book, is like 40 chapters, right? Around that.
Yeah, each book from books 1, 2, and 3, they're roughly 40 chapters each.
So did you have that goal in mind for them to all be 40 chapters or no? And also, did you have like a page count in mind for each of the chapters? Like when did you know that, all right, this is going to be chapter 1, this is going to be chapter 2? You know what I mean? Like how did you decide I'm going to cut this content for chapter 3 and I'm gonna just keep this in chapter 2?
So what I did for that, I thought of it for these cases, I thought of a TV series. And I said, how do they want a TV series to end? You're not just gonna end it with somebody driving down a highway, for instance, right? I mean, you could, but depending on what they're thinking or whatever, there's many different ways. But if they're just driving plainly down a highway to get somewhere, maybe you don't end there. I mean, but so I tried to make each chapter, the end of each chapter, point where there's a question or there's like you're waiting for something, or it wants them to get to the next part of the story. And I don't say chapter because the next chapter for me could be a story totally unrelated, from the different lines of story. So it'll be a future chapter, but for each chapter, I thought of it as a series in a season, let's say, like, so I thought, let's say each book is 7 seasons. I thought of each chapter as one episode. And that's how I kind of ended each chapter, where it's like, wanting the reader to really get to that next part of that story.
Hey, so real quick, we was talking, I don't know what you call it when it's over Zoom, but off live, let's call it that.
Yeah. Before, yeah.
Recording. And you were saying you had mentioned that you was from Trinidad, right?
Yeah, that's my background. Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah,
Right.
grew up there. Yeah,
and now we're not gonna specify, but you live in the Canada area. We're gonna say it like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, does any of that play a role in the book? Like, how much did your environment, or does your environment actually have an effect on your story?
Current environment or past, or anything that was in my experience?
In any fashion, if at all.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't think so. I mean, maybe it's from the certain religions that I speak of and stuff, because I went to like different types of schools and so on. I met different types of people, different religions and so on. So that probably played a factor in that, as I speak a lot about unity and stuff like that from different people of different races, different religions. The main theme was not the main theme, but one of the themes was unity of people. And where I grew up, I lived in a village where there was a church, a mosque, and a temple, and everybody got along. So possibly that subliminally played in my mind as I did that, not purposely or anything like that, but I feel as humans we all draw from our experiences, and they come out in some form or another, maybe not purposefully, but subconsciously it could come out. So I didn't purposely do it, but there's definitely things, as you asked that question, and I do think of it for certain things, because I can't remember everything from my past, where there's definitely things I could say that there are pieces of it within those stories when you really look at it and be like, oh, okay, I can see how this part of the story was based on a past experience. And you do it subconsciously, and most times your brain just knows. The brain's a powerful tool.
Oh yeah, like the reason why I asked is because from what you described, you were saying like this is basically about this family that's tracking from like this, from the West Coast, right?
Well, from the central, they're getting to the west, yeah.
From the central to the west, and then you said they were moving to Canada. They're tracking to Canada, to the last stronghold, correct?
Yeah. Then after that, they start going up towards the north, like the Arctic almost.
Okay, and that's why I asked, because like Given is just like it's like they in the States, so I'm like, okay, I can see that. And then in my mind, I'm just like, okay, I would think normally a person would write from the standpoint of where they are, like geographically, So when you was like, they started in the States, I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, they moving, the last human stronghold is in Canada. I'm like, oh. So I wonder if this had any kind of effect on, like, that's how.
Yeah, no, yeah, I see that.
Was.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, because that's like I moved to Canada, right? So it's like I can definitely see that, and subconsciously again, maybe I did it that way. Who knows?
Oh no, I gotta read the book now, so I can let you know where my mind is as far as it now. But I wanted to also ask, outside of your experience, like the unfortunate experience you had.
Yeah.
Was there any other inspiration for you for your writing? Like, because it sounds like it's kind of like sci-fi.
Yeah, it's sci-fi and philosophical. Yeah. So I mean, I was never a big sci-fi fan. I mean, I watch movies here and there, whatever. Terminator. I was never a big Star Trek or Star Wars fan. I watch, a bit of Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, different, I mean, those aren't really sci-fi per se. They're more action kind of thing. But fantasy, yeah. So it wasn't never really, I mean, I like Transformers a lot as a kid, Voltron. But so, I mean, there's always, sci-fi. It's such a popular theme of, a lot of people like it. I won't say, I'm not big into a lot of like, the major ones like Star Wars and stuff like that. But So I just kind of did it on my own, and the theme of the belief in the one true creator was something that I really wanted to put in there, because not many stories that I saw anyways, even talk about sci-fi, going to different places and different universe and stuff. None of them really hit on the belief or the philosophical side that I get to, and I feel that's really important for me, just because it's like something that I really believe in.
Okay, because my next question was going to be, is there an overarching, message or a theme in the story that you would like to, like basically for your readers to like basically digest and like think about, or and like maybe your belief is one aspect of it,
Yeah.
but like is there any other kind of like overarching message,
Yeah,
or
there's
things
a
like
lot of it. There's a lot of hope in the human race, belief in faith in ourselves, the message of love, treating people good, getting rid of there's always in movies, in life, everything you see, it's good versus bad, that's Hollywood is based on good versus bad, right? Whether you look at this movie or that, there's always good and bad, and that's what people are attracted to, and they like seeing those types of stories and movies and so on. And that's something I really wanted to put there, because it's something people can relate to, that good versus bad thing. And there's a lot of times in the book or the books where you think this is bad or this person's bad, but they're actually, or they may have done something bad, but they get to a point where they make a decision that's like not like just life altering for a person, because my story's like just a large story. It's like life altering for an entire race, whether it be the human race or something. It's like decisions from these people that they're not just changing their lives with these decisions, they're changing the lives of beings even beyond us, like in Zerros and so on, right? Going back eons and eons of years, these beings were alive from Zerros, and one human, I mean, the star, not the star, there's a few important characters, but the most important character is a young girl. She's, I would say about the 15, 16-year-old age group, and she is the star. Her name is like Ava. She is the main character in the movie, and throughout the whole book one, you think her brother is the one that's going to be the savior of humanity, but she's actually the savior. And when I say of humanity, that's just on Earth. They think she's the savior, but when you get into books 4, 5, and 6, she's like transformed into the phoenix. So she's actually the phoenix, and her soul was alive eons ago, and her soul kept on wanting to come back to Earth because she needed to get to her brother Jonah, who was a dragon, and that's why the dragon and the phoenix. So it's a brother and a sister in the life on Earth, but in a previous life, they were the dragon and the phoenix from Zerros, and they eventually have to come back to Zerros. And in order to do that, she had to be alive when the universe ended, so that the people from Zerros can take her there. And her brother had to die and get a message to her. And he's bad, but he's also good in a way, because he's jaded. He's a bit greedy for certain things, but he eventually comes through for her. I mean, that's like a bit of a spoiler, but he eventually comes through for her as as he was that dragon, the blue dragon of Zerros.
You have really detailed like the universe that you created. So like how long did that take for you to like think of the rules for the universe, the characters, the background of the characters? Was that something that you always like had in mind from the get-go, or was that something like that came along the way while you were still writing? You was thinking like, you know what, this would be a good thing for this character to have?
Yeah, literally was like that. It was like, again, I started, it was just going to be a small story of, they need to get to here, and that was going to be the end of it, they were going to just, save the earth or save this region of the world, the Americas, let's say, because it's a different world. It's not like Canada and America and Mexico anymore. It was like they just called it the Americas because, governments fell, the world's in chaos, right?
Right.
So they were just supposed to get to there, and that would be the end of it, story done. But as I wrote it, became more and more because of just, I don't know, something in me just said this would be a better story. And as I thought of it, I'm like, you had to get the ideas, you had to build the characters and so on. And not just that, you had to build like universes and how these beings from Zerros were created, are they created like us, through pregnancies and so on. And they're not, right? But they're another race, and they're created from droplets of water that started in Zerros, but we don't know what started that droplets of water. All right. So that's how they were created. So they're not created like us. They don't have families like us. They're created from the fountain of life is what I call it in the book. And it's just these drops of water that drop, like one drop may drop every 10 years of human life, because human are years, because it's different time in Zerros, right? 10 human years might be 20 seconds in Zerros, whatever. There's no relation really there. But as the water drops, it takes, hundreds of years for one Zerosian to be created. And they're created in human form. They're not created as babies, right? And they create in human form. They know where they are, and then they're in Zerros, and then they're the other Zerosians for the new ones anyways, they meet them. But in the story, as I wrote it, I get back to the beginning, and I talk about the beginning of Zerros, when the first Zerosian was created. And when that Zerosian was created from those droplets of water, it was walking around looking at the land, like, where it was, what's happening, what is this, sort of like Adam, let's say, right? If you believe in like Adam and Eve and so on, Adam and Eve came on earth, and, they were, let's say, lost in the Garden of Eden or whatever. And, they were like wondering probably where they were and so on. So kind of similar theme, but it's just they were born in quotes because it was droplets of water that, made them. And as that Zerosian was walking, it saw the phoenix way in the distance. So the phoenix was in Zerros before, and then that phoenix died, and that's the soul that eventually, went to different places over and over. Then it came to be Ava at some point, and she has to get to that form of the phoenix again. And the only way she can do that is to get to Zerros. But to getting to Zerros isn't easy. You just don't get there. You have to be placed there. You can't get to Zerros, right? It's like they have to come and get you. And there's only one way they come and get you, is when our universe ends. And it was important and that's why it's important for our universe to end, because that's a signal to them that, okay, if this universe is ending, something is happening. We need to get there, save whoever's there. And they save about 6 or 7 people from Earth, and that's it. And in those 6 or 7 people, there's 2 robots. That the robots are interesting as well, because it wasn't something I started. Going back to your question, it naturally happened. And the robots, when you think of robots, you think of, robots are, robots. They don't think, they were created just, on an assembly line or something. But as I wrote, I thought it was important that certain robots, they somehow stopped becoming robots, and they got their own free will. And the robots, even though they were, not much different than an iPhone in a sense, it's machinery, right? But the robots, for those that, let's say, became awakened, and I use that in quotes, those robots also started believing in the one true creator of everything in existence, which was important to me because, you don't think of robots believing in God, let's say, right? And I started and, it wasn't many. There were, millions of robots, but a small percentage of them broke away from that mindset of a robot. They were awakened, and they believed in one true creator. And 2 of those robots made it to Zerros, because when those beings from Zerosian, when those Zerosians came to Earth, as the universe was ending, there was a war, the final war on Earth was happening. And that's when Ava was there, and she was dead. Well, dead in a certain aspect, because she had to die on Earth in order for like that prophecy to be fulfilled. in order for her to return her soul to come back as the Phoenix. So she comes back to life in when they take her to Zerros, but she had to die on Earth, and you think she's dead, but she's not really dead as the book ends, because she comes back alive in Zerros, and the robots were there because 2 of them like helped her. So there was a few of them on the ship. That's where the part of the war was happening. It was towards, it was part land, part ocean, and she was on a ship, and the Zerosians found her signal somehow, and as they took her, there were other people with her, and they took them as well because they wanted her to have some familiar faces as she came back to life in Zerros.
For sure. For sure. Well, we definitely got to get, we definitely, can you give us the name of the saga? Because I don't want to just call it a book. I know it's more than one book, but can you give us the name of the saga again?
Realm of Zerros Saga. It's just on Amazon. I'm going to put it on. I haven't done too much marketing on it as yet. And the reason for that is I really want to finish books 4, 5, and 6. But I'm planning, right now it's on Kindle only. And I just did that just because of lack of time. I haven't had time to put it on the other platforms, but I plan to put it there. So I have Vash's email. I can send him an email with those links when it's there for you guys to get. And I don't mind giving you guys for free or whatever. I'm not here to make,
No, bro. Listen,
a few dollars here and there. It's not.
Look, we ain't got. Listen, we got to support each other, bro. Look,
right. This your talent, man.
Your talent. You know what I'm saying? That's your talent, bro.
But I wanted to ask a question that's a bit off topic. And I wanted to ask this for the whole group. What was your favorite book? What's the best book outside of the books y'all wrote? Because we got 2 authors in here.
Yeah.
Outside of the books y'all wrote, what's y'all favorite piece of work that y'all like to read?
For me, I like in high school, I read this book called Brave New World, and that
sounds familiar.
That was a good one for me. It was so that was eye-opening for me. My English teacher actually helped me a lot. Now that I think of it too, he helped me a lot with not just getting into IT and stuff, but he helped me a lot with writing and stuff. And I think I read that in his class, Brave New World, I think.
When I want to say, so I've always been a reader. So I've read a lot of books. I haven't read a lot of books as of late because it's different times. I don't have necessarily the patience that I did have when I was younger to just sit down with a book and read. But I remember back in 7th grade, my teacher, she started up a book club, and it was early in the morning. And I was a part of the book club. It was it was an hour before class was supposed to start. And she had us reading books that weren't the typical books. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything it wasn't anything from Shakespeare. It wasn't any of the Black books from Black authors that we used to read or know about, like Walter Dean Myers or something like that. It wasn't anything like that. But she had us read The Giver. And I remember reading that and looking at the cover and then reading the summary of the plot on the back of the book. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to read this. I don't. Give me something science fiction, something fantasy, something. And to a certain extent, it is science fiction, kind of, sort of. But it's not Star Wars type of or superhero type stuff. It was essentially because I'm not gonna get a whole thing away, but it was essentially there was this community and everybody was born and they had a task assigned to them at a young age, and whatever it was that you were assigned, that's what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was really interesting to read because once I got started and then I started to understand the themes and everything, I was just like, yo, I can't put this book down. And it's one of my favorite books ever. And it just opened up my eyes to read more different kinds of books than what I was used to. So yeah, that's definitely like one of my favorite books, if not the favorite.
Yeah, and for me, Brave New World, I mean, I haven't read recently, but that was way back in high school. So that was, I just remember that one, but I don't necessarily believe in everything in it, what I read. I mean, I don't even know who the author is, to say it like
Yeah.
that. Like, I don't really have a favorite author or anything like that. I mean, but I just remember reading it, and uh, that's why I really say that. I mean, I don't read that much, so that's why that came in mind. But yeah, I don't know who the author is and stuff like that. But that just came to my mind more than anything versus like a favorite book. I don't read too much, so I can't really say that. But I just remember that book and my English teacher kind of thing. That's why I did mention that.
I feel you.
I noticed something when you were talking way earlier. You said that you hadn't really written anything for like 20 years, right? Before.
Yeah.
So let me answer this. So I'm assuming at that point before you wouldn't have identified yourself as a writer.
Yeah.
But
No.
now in this realm though, would you identify yourself as a writer, or are you somebody who got inspired to write books? You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of understand the nuance of my question a little bit.
Yeah, I would say more somebody that got inspired to write books. I wouldn't say I'm a writer. I'm no, I'm not like that. I was inspired to write that, and I plan to finish this, and where it leads, I don't know, but I wouldn't, consider myself a writer, put myself on a pedestal or anything like that. I'm just, a regular guy.
Even the pedestal aside, what distinguisher, right, from you being the guy who just got inspired to write something and a writer, from your perspective, right, from your personal opinion, what would be the difference?
I feel like a writer, that's their craft every day kind of thing. And they can, probably write about anything versus myself, where I was inspired and I can only really write when my mind is ready with that creative outlook to write about this. I feel I can't write about another topic per se and, convince people of certain things when you write. But when it comes to this specific, I feel I was inspired to write this based on, growing up or whatever, subconsciously things that come in your mind and, certain beliefs that I have. And I feel I was inspired to write this versus being a writer that could write any topic and about any topic.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this about your saga. Who would you say is your, like, not target audience, because I think it's not the point is not a target audience necessarily, but who do you maybe expect or are excited to the demographic you're most excited to get a hold of your book, right? Like, who are you excited for them, these people, to see your book and like get a hold of? Let me ask it again.
Yeah, you cut off, but I got the gist of what you're saying. You cut off a bit.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it cut off. Okay.
But no worries. I would say, I mean, I wrote it in a way that initially it was supposed to be for, 14 to 18-year-olds kind of thing, that's why the characters were like that. But as I wrote it, I, kept negativity out of it. I, purposely didn't use any swear words or any scenes where there would be uncomfortableness if parents were watching this with their kids, for instance. I didn't want to have any of that. So for me, I really kept it general, where really everyone can watch it. And even if you're like 8-year-old watching this with your parent, there won't be any words or scenes where there would have to be like, an uncomfortable. It'll be uncomfortable if the parents were in the room with the kids or something. I kept it really general because, I really want to spread a message of, unity, hope, goodness, believing in destiny, things that, are positive. And that, so as I wrote it again, so initially 14 to 18 kind of age group, but as I wrote it, I just said, this is really for everybody. And I took a lot of things out, not a lot, I would say, a few things out that made it that would make it a bit more for everybody. Even a 5-year-old can watch it once they can understand certain things, like, about life and so on, but there's no real negative or scenes that would make people uncomfortable or swear words or anything like that.
Gotcha.
So you already kind of because I was gonna ask you what, if you even thought that far, what would be next for you? You said that you're gonna finish out the story, and then whatever else comes from that, whatever comes from that, but you don't have anything else like in mind, right? Like there's no, because I know for me, I had like when I'm writing now, like I think about, because I want it to be like a trilogy, right? So I already have the plot for the first and the second book down. Third, not so much. But I have thought about certain ideas that didn't necessarily fit in the world that I was creating with this novel that I'm doing, the series. And I thought about like, yo, I could take this and make a whole nother series that ain't got nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like something for down the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So has that happened to you? Or is it just strictly like, no, I want to finish 1 through 6. And then after that, if I want to continue on this path, then I could do that.
Yeah, so so books 1, 2, 3 are done. Focuses on books 4, 5, and 6. But as I wrote, even 1, 2, and 3, I thought of a lot of spin-off stories, which is exactly, I think, what you're kind of saying there, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I have like 3 or 4 spin-offs that, won't be, 40 chapters per se, but might be, a short story type of thing, 10 to 15 chapters to say, how did the humans and the beta sapiens, they were separated, right? Like they kept them apart. So how did, but what one thing happened that created this, I call them superhumans in the book because they have elevated mind functions and there aren't many of them. But one of the spin-offs would be, how did the superhumans come to be? And it was because beta sapien fell in love with a normal human. And as they mix, they create the genetics formed a superhuman type of person. And, they look just like normal humans, but they have mind powers. And so those are like little spin-offs that I'm thinking of, that won't be, 40 chapters per se, but it'll give you an idea of, hey, how did superhumans come to be? Where did they come from? Because people might have those questions, of, okay, how did you just make up superhumans? No, I just didn't make it up. There's an actual backstory, but having that backstory in the book, I might describe it in a half of a chapter or something like that, going back in the past, but really to say how it happened, a short story or a spin-off. So I do have like, I would say actually more, but I actually narrowed it down because, you can't have too many, right? Then it's going to be like just too much. So
Yeah.
but there's a ton of like, I won't say a ton, but there's about 5 spin-offs that I have in mind for it because it's such a large story, right? The end of the universe, new universes, realm of creation, and each universe even is a story. And if you think of infinite universes, you almost have infinite stories. So it's literally a series or a saga that literally could go on forever because of introducing the realm of creation in there, which is like the key, which is how universes are created, right? And that's important because it gives you that opportunity. Like I'm in IT and we call things scalable. Can you build scalable infrastructure, scalable applications to make sure that, if you go from 10 users to 100 users, there's no impact. And so this story is almost scalable in that sense, where you could really expand it to whatever you want and speak about anything. Because if you're creating a new universe, you can say there's no gravity. You can say they have no language. These are things we know: gravity, language, up and down, good and bad, colors, air, whatever else you got, But in other universes, that you could like really literally create anything you want, which is the really powerful thing that I introduced in there for myself, to really expand on different spin-offs and so on.
That's dope. That's really dope. I like that, scalable. I like that. So I know that it's getting late, so I'm gonna ask my last question. I don't know if the rest of the fellas have any questions. So outside of editing, right?
Yeah.
What do you say is or was the hardest thing about writing the first 3 books?
just the process of it. So like writing it on, in Microsoft Word and stuff, that's, that's creative, write it down. But then, you have to put it in certain formats when you do ebooks, like, EPUB formats and different, different types there. So that was, that was kind of tedious as well, getting like ISBN numbers, kind of like, stuff like that was, other than the editing, that was the other things that I didn't really, care much to do, but I wasn't going to do all that work and write to not spend, a few days researching how to do these things. It would be like, that just wouldn't make sense to me, So that
Right,
was,
makes sense. Yeah.
that was something where I had to be like, okay, how do I do this? Because, I'm not rich or anything like that. I can't be like, oh, tell this person do this for me, tell this person do this, everything, editing, researching, spending time. It was all like, all for me. No one, not that anybody should help, but I mean, like, I just did it myself, right? Just because, I didn't have, 5,000 to pay someone to edit. These are 70,000 word book, 70,000 words in a book. That's a lot of money if someone's going to edit that, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the editing was, I use Grammarly for that, and which you buy a subscription. So I did that, and that was, learning all those things on how to, cut little corners here to save on some money that, you don't have a exponential amount of, so making the most of what you have, while, not spending frivolously and being like, okay, let me do this, let me hire someone for this, otherwise, you could spend a lot of money and,
Yeah.
yeah. And
I get you.
And in
I
the
get
end,
you.
I believe in my book, or my books, like I told people from the beginning, even in the Latinx diverse community from a clubhouse that I was in there, and they believe me too. I told them it's not many people know of it. I haven't marketed it much and so on. I mean, we've talked about it on here. We talked on Clubhouse a bit and so on like that. A bit on IG, I post certain things or like that. But once it gets out there, this is the greatest story ever written. Not just from an action perspective, but from a philosophical perspective, from a belief in God, from a belief in what life is, why are we here, what is life, it even gets into things about, even from a perspective of what is the devil, which is things people don't talk about, but there's something there, right? I mean, it's in, it's in prophecy, it's in, it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran, it's in different, books from different religions, and I get into stuff that is really deep, and I hope people appreciate that, whether it's, they don't have to believe anything. I mean, in the end, it's a fiction, right? At the end, it's fiction. In the end of the day, it's fiction. It's, a story, but it's also things that are real, that, have been in religion for thousands of years, that, I bring up in these books, that, a lot of books or movies don't really get into that, because it's, things that people don't really, I mean, I feel people think about it, but it's not things people talk about a lot. On an open forum, you might talk about it here and there, but it's not something people talk about daily, like sports or favorite movies or favorite songs and so on, and I feel that was important for me. And the other thing was, as I did that, I'm not a songwriter, but I created 3 songs, and the eventual goal is, I'm like, I really feel this could be like a movie or a series of movies or a series itself, and to have those songs on the soundtrack would be something that would be really important to me, because one song is like the theme song kind of thing, like the background theme for the movie or the series, and there's words to it. The other song is also kind of like that, but wouldn't be for the theme song of the series. It would be like a secondary. And the third song is really going back to that, not the sort of racism I experienced in that 2015, 2016 timeframe, but that's the other event that happened in the mid 2020. It was, well, I'll just say it. I lost my job during the pandemic, right? In mid 2020. And that was like life changing for me. That was like my security blanket for me and my family. And it was, unfairly taken away. And that really just changed my whole outlook on life. I know I didn't really want to bring it up there, because we weren't talking about that, but right. I'm a transparent person. I'm not hiding anything. So that was the event in mid 2020. It was being unfairly let go from, a job that I excelled at for, 15 years. And that drove me to that actually, that event made me think of the end of book 6. And if it means I lose my job, to think of an ending that is just the most perfect ending that I could think of for this series of books, then it's worth it. That's my destiny. If that losing my job is getting this message out to people of, unity, hope, how does good overcome evil? What are things in life that, like forces that play that we don't really think of because we're so busy trying to survive and just trying to work and, living our lives, going outside here and there, but real forces that are in our life that we don't really pay attention to. If it gets people thinking about that, and I can, like somehow, get a bit of sales from this, or just to survive and have some financial freedom on that side, that's why you do things, right? To make yourself better, to achieve more, right? It's like it's what we do, right? It's how we want to improve ourselves, right? And everybody wants to do that, right? Nobody does it for
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Real quick, I just want to say, I actually, I think I'm really gonna take a dive into this here. I'm gonna try to tackle it because I got a lot of reading to do already.
Yeah.
So it's like adding more reading on top of the reading I already got is gonna be a lot. But coming from someone who has traversed the how can I say this? I've traversed different areas of religion in my life.
Yeah.
Just to on a search to find truth. I think it'll be interesting to see it from somebody else's perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
So from that, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Once I take all my other readings.
Yeah.
But,
Take your time, man.
But I did want to ask, how did you get the name Zerros? Like, did it just pop? Did you just say it and like it, or is it something that has like a meaning to it? Or
yeah, there's a meaning. Yeah. So if you look at like the logo, Realm of Zerros, and in the middle there's that circle with the line through it. So it's like a circle and then there's a line through it. So in computers, everything is like ones and zeros, right? So essentially, my thinking was everything is ones and zeros, even in life, right? Ones and zeros, the effect of opposites, the yin and the yang, the night and the day, good and bad, so it goes back, ones and zeros, it's opposites, right? It's, what makes life what it is. And the thinking was, I didn't want to put zero, Realm of Zeros, right? Because in the end, goes back to the overarching story. We're all, even though we're here, the creator created us all. And before the creator created us, we were nothing. So zero is nothing. So even the realm of zeros, it's nothing, because before the creator created it, it was nothing. And when the creator created it, it became the realm of zeros. But the real meaning is supposed to be zeros, but I just wanted a name other than zeros, which is why I came up with Zeros, because it had a bit of just a different ring to it. So that's why I had that. And that's why the 1 and the 0 is in the logo, because the 1 is the one true creator, and the zeros is everything in existence, was nothing before the creator created us all.
I like that. I like that. I like that. That's deep. I like
Thanks,
that.
man. Yeah, no, I'll tell you, it's not I just like, it's from my mind. It's who I am. It's a deep philosophical book. It's not just action. There's a lot of action in it, a lot of stories of, love and helping people and people meeting each other, falling in love, again, nothing uncomfortable where, a parent can watch it with their kid, just, hey, they met and they fell in love, and that's about as far as you get. I don't mention anything, like uncomfortable situations purposely, but it's very deep, and that's something that just came through, just again, naturally as I wrote, because of who I am, I guess.
Oh,
just what I believe,
Yeah, no. I get that. That's dope, bro. Man, listen, it was an honor to have you here with us tonight, bro. I learned
Oh,
so
man.
much from you just talking about everything. Because now I'm thinking differently about how to write my novel. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
So
I hope we all have success, man. All of us. I even said that in the Latinx group. I'm not sure if you were in some of those clubhouse rooms, but I always tell everybody, we're all trying to achieve, whether it's, get a bit of financial freedom, get, something for, if we have kids or even if we don't, but plan to in the future, whether it's helping your parents, helping, whoever, we're trying to get that so we could, help people because, this world right now, it's not in the best of shape right now. And,
yeah,
it's up to us to, make it a better place,
absolutely. So you can go ahead and use this time to promote your book because we're going to have like little links in the description and everything to the Amazon for your books and everything. So we'll have the links and everything and then your social media as well. So right now you go ahead, you have the space to go ahead and talk about your book and promote it. And from there, we're just going to wrap up, bro.
Okay. I mean, I said what I really had to say about it. It's on Amazon right now. I mean, you have the links. I can still send them to you if you don't know exactly what it is. My social media, I mean, Twitter and IG, mostly on IG. But like I said, what I had to say on it, nothing more. I mean, there's a lot more I probably could say. I can really talk a lot about it. But at some point, you really have to, say, you got to stop and say, let people absorb the information you gave them because there's so many stories, different, lines coming in, even as you get into 4, 5, and 6, which I'm in the process of writing, even the soundtrack and the event in mid 2020, losing my job, and to come up with that third song for, hopefully what could be a soundtrack. And, as you try to, move yourself into different aspects of life that you didn't think you would be. I never thought I would, be in an interview with you guys 10 years ago. I would never think that, right? Because it's not who I am. But sometimes you really have to just adapt to where you and think of where you want to go versus just staying where you are. Otherwise, I saw the saying today, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a fact.
Important.
No, that's a fact. Darius, Cam, anything to add?
No, man, thanks for coming, bro. I appreciate it. Looking forward to wishing you nothing but the best and success, man.
Yeah,
It's
thanks,
a
man.
super dope idea, man. It's a super dope concept that you're working with. So I'm excited to see where that goes, man, for sure.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it was definitely a pleasure having you on. I look forward to the reading. I gotta check it out, like just to see, like you piqued my interest. I don't know if I can read 6 books straight.
Yeah, no worries, man.
It's gonna take me some time because I got look, I'm reading a book called Power Evangelism right now, so and that's taking up the bulk of my time. But for sure, like if I can get to it, and if it's not a movie by then,
yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say.
Get back to you and let you know. I was like, yo.
That's what I was gonna say. There's maybe the movie might come out before then, but yeah, that'll be even better, bro. I'll get you free front row seats to whatever theater you want if there's a movie for this, bro. All expenses paid. It's on record. You have me for that, bro.
Hey, there you go. It's on record. It's on wax.
It's on record, bro.
It's on record.
Yeah. I never say something I don't intend to fulfill, man. And it's on record. You guys can hold me to that, man.
There you go. Hey,
absolutely. Absolutely. We will, man. Listen, it was a pleasure to have you once again.
Same here, man.
Thank you for being on. This has been another episode of Reset the Vibe, ladies and gentlemen. Please take care of one another. Please be kind to one another. And as always, love.